I'm more likely to die from my bride stabbing me at one point than from this COVID-19.
We should cut that out too. Yes,
Leave that in.
because no, you have to stop telling people I'm going to murder you.
Stop threatening to murder me. Yeah!
Hey church fam, Sean and Sasha here. Hoping everyone is doing well.
Yes.
Hope you and your spouses and your loved ones are being kind to one another in this time of being very close to one another all the time.
All the time.
Yes. I hope, even when you want to get away, that you take a nice brisk walk around the block with an animal.
That's not including your children. I know they can act like it, but they're not animals. Get them off free those kids. Get them off leashes. You know when couples are fighting because the other one just speed walking down the street with one shoe on in the rain, just mouthing, just winning the fight internally. I'll tell him to pick up your socks. I said pick up your socks.
However, yes, I noticed he used the phrase pick up your socks.
That wasn't too personal. I didn't let you in on any. I pick up my socks.
After I've told him about 16 times.
I'll get to it.
Yes. However, we hope you guys are relying on each other and talking some things out. I know that with the two of us, there have been several times that we are a praying family. We pray together usually daily. I know it's not always easy to set the time aside, but in our family we find it very important to pray together and ask God to be here in this place and with each one of us. And I know that especially praying couples usually have a pretty successful marriage rate, and
even the hardest of times.
Yes, even when you're praying, but really you're monologuing at God.
Right.
Sly dog, you got me monologuing.
About how much you love him, but really. And so, not that I've done that.
Yeah.
I love him all
Lord,
the time.
just thank you for giving Sean the ability to pick up socks, even though he doesn't. Thank you for giving him the heart to start picking up socks, even though he hasn't.
Yes.
And, real prayers. Real prayers. Hashtag real prayer.
However, I know that especially with us, whenever we're going through something or with God, He's funny about the things that He talks to you about when you're listening. When you're not just deep. Monologuing. But when you're listening and he gives you a jolt, I guess, in a different direction of how to think about things when you're praying about your spouse and he says something and you're like, oh God, thought you had my back there. Cool. But also in our own walk, I know that there have been times that maybe I'm going through something or I have been thinking about something or I've been really trying to push something in a direction and he's like, whoa, that's not where I was sending you. Or he talks to you kind of about something in yourself and you're just like, I don't know if I want to do that right now. But when you talk to your spouse and you're like, hey, so talking to God. And I really feel like this is what he was telling me. And most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, he'll say something along the lines of, he told me that the other day too. And I didn't know how to bring it up to you. And I'm just like,
How dare you, sir?
But at the same time, it's not as in rude, but it's more of a, so I'm the last one to know kind of a thing. But I know God has His timing and He knows that I have to be in a specific place for me to really hear it and to hear it from Him, because if He were to come up to me and be like, hey, so God told me, girl, you got some things to work on, I'd be like,
play it. No, you didn't.
Rude.
I got a list for you.
And so we try to rely on the times where we're praying and we're speaking to each other and we're being open and honest with one another. But one of the coolest things that I also know in those times is that he always supplies a safe place for me to come and be honest. And sometimes it's not easy to be honest about the things you're vulnerable about, but at the same time, it's really, really, really important. So if you are a couple, especially if you're a praying couple, and right now we ain't got lots to do, it might be nice, especially if you're feeling a little panicked or stressed out, because we don't know what you're going through in your own homes. We don't know if some of you still have jobs. We don't know if you are struggling with illness, or if someone in your family is struggling with illness, or how you're doing on your groceries, or how you're doing on gas or your bills or whatever. And so we know those times can cause a lot of stress and panic and frustration. And I encourage you to just really go and be before the Lord. And if this is all new for you, if you haven't ever really taken the time outside of the church walls to invite Christ in your home, or to really take time away from everything that's going on, I encourage you to, go to a place in your home where you might have a few seconds. Me as a mom, just being really open and honest here, that is the bathroom. My kids know if they come in there, I have a closet in my bathroom that I have in many times gone and sat just for a few minutes by myself. I also use that time in the shower. That scared me a little bit.
I did.
That time in the shower where I am very known. If you are in my house and I am in the shower, you most likely know, because I have music blaring. Yep. And it is usually worship music, and I am usually singing my little heart out. I got a pocket full of sunshine. I got a love, and I know that it's all mine. Oh, whoa.
It Jesus. Is a full-on concert in there.
I am jamming to Jesus.
You should hear this woman sing.
I got my arms in the air. I don't even care. I do not care if you can hear me and you're my neighbor and you think I'm crazy. Don't care, okay? This is me and Jesus. Take that time. Tell your kids what you're doing. Yes. I tell my kids all the time, if you hear worship music going and I'm in the other room, leave me alone. I love you, but unless it's on fire or we're bleeding, I don't care. I need that time, because if I don't get my time with Jesus, the person that I am without him isn't always very nice. And sometimes she can make decisions that you're like,
maybe not. Man, that's not good.
Maybe we should have taken this much more time to think about that, because you probably would have gone in a different direction.
There was one time where the kids...
Just once.
Once. I'm in the house, and the kids come in, and I'm like, hey, where's Mom? Mom's still in the car, and I can hear the praise and worship music playing from the car, from the garage, into our living room. And the girl said, well, Mom said that the praise and worship music just saved our life.
Yes.
It was a tough day.
Yes.
It was a full-on mom day.
We skipped a piano lesson and a vocal lesson. Didn't even make it out of the neighborhood. Turned around at the front of the neighborhood. They're no longer speaking. I am no longer speaking. We get home, get out of the car, don't talk to me, and don't talk to each other. And no joke, I don't even remember the name of the song. Let the Devil Know Not Today. Not Today,
yes,
by Hillsong.
Yes.
Can you say, Jesus, let the devil know not today?
That was it.
That was jamming so loud, I listened to it 5 times before I got out of my car, because I needed to. Jesus is gonna save your life. You better get out of my car. Woo!
And that's the same thing. Especially now, being around each other so much in quarantine. Not just she and I, but the kids.
We're not in quarantine. We're social distancing. We are not sick.
Yes. Sure. being out of quarantine is easier to say than social distancing.
No.
So we're all getting frustrated because we have these unmet expectations, right? We expected life to go on as normal. We expected to be able to go to work at any point in time. We expected to be able to go to the store and find toilet paper whenever we need it.
That's true. That's a real story.
But we can't. And all these expectations that we had, now that they're not happening, we just live in frustration. Mm-hmm. And we let those frustrations out on the people closest to us. And that's one thing that we don't have the luxury of doing anymore, because it's super important that as husbands, as brides, and as parents, that we increase our love, increase our prayer, and show that much more that even though there's frustration in the air, that's not going to rest on us. So whenever she says something that would normally frustrate me, I have to take a breath, express more love and prayer. When I frustrate her by not picking up stuff, saying something stupid like I do, she has to express more love and prayer. And then remember, your children are new here. So they don't know what to expect, and they're looking to you to show them how to handle it. Always be honest with them and tell them, look, I don't know what to expect. What I do know is that I love you and that God has us every step of the way. Mm-hmm. So even though this frustration's in the air, we have to find a way to dissipate it.
Yes, we have to remember to be a safe place for one another. If you don't have that, that should be something you talk about. Be a safe place for one another. Be a place of encouragement for one another. The more that you're with each other like that, the easier it'll be for you to be like that with your kids as well. And when your kids see you guys in unity being a safe place for one another, they'll also count you as a safe place. And right now there's a lot of uncertainty and unknowns. And if you can find the peace that God is freely handing out to all of his children and an abundance, it's easier to be able to be a light and to shine for one another, and especially for your kids and your neighbors and everyone else who's watching in the world, because it can be really tough out here.
Yeah.
Especially when it's raining and you're practicing social distancing.
Which is harder for some than others. Remember, your social distancing only applies to when you're in person.
Wash your hands. Wait, it's over here. Wash your hands. Move your head. Oh. Wash your hands all the time. Not just in social distancing. All the time. Super important.